Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Gabe Rudiger to defeat Joe Lauzon. And I'm here to talk about Terrance McKinney versus Nazim Sadykhov. I never picked Gabe Rudiger to beat Joe Lauzon. I know you know I'm lying every time I say that shit, but I had to clarify that. I didn't pick Rudiger. Alright, Nazim is 29 years old. He's 8-1 as a pro. And he's giving up 4.5 inches of reach to Terrance McKinney, who is the same height as him. And McKinney is 28 years old and has a record of 13-5. McKinney, look, I picked McKinney to beat Ismail Bonfim. I picked it to be by round 1 submission. And I felt like a big fucking idiot after that fight. And then, of course, he lost to Benoit Saint-Denis via first-round rear naked choke. You know, that's how Terrance McKinney could have won that fight. That's how he could win every fight. When Terrance McKinney wins, it's almost always in round 1, and it is always via finish. He's got a record of 13-5, 13 finishes, 5 via knockout, 8 via submission. The 5 knockouts are all legitimate knockouts, and a lot of them come in under a minute. One of them comes in 7 seconds. His best victory to date, Matt Frivola. A win that's only gotten better with age, really. And he's he's finished everybody again. Most of the submissions come via rear naked choke, almost all of them. He does have a 3rd round heel hook, which I'm fucking baffled that happened, but I wasn't able to see that. But Terrance McKinney, he's a guy that when he wins, typically he runs through you. He's a wrestler first and foremost, but he's got really solid athleticism, like incredible athleticism, which helps him both in the grappling realm and in the striking realm. He's really good at closing the distance, and he's got sharp striking, sharp enough striking where he's definitely very dangerous, and he can put you away early. And on the ground, if he's able to get you to the ground, he uses that athleticism, especially when he's really sharp and fresh, to move around very quickly, take your back. He's a really good back taker and overwhelm you on the ground. And he's got that finishing touch. He's beaten Firas Ziam, rear naked choke round 1. Eric Gonzalez, rear naked choke round 1. Matt Frivola, of course, he knocked him out. Terrance McKinney's very dangerous. The thing is, he's very vulnerable as well. Very, very vulnerable. Anytime this guy loses, it's via finish. He lost 4 times via knockout, once via submission. And they are, let me see. Ismail Bonfim knocked him out in round 2. That was his most recent fight, and he was overwhelmed in the end and then knocked dead with a big flying knee. One of the highlights of the year. I think that was this year. But either way, it will be one of the highlights of the year. It's one of the best knockouts ever and absolutely one of the best debuts ever. Even if it doesn't feel so great now that Ismail was defeated in his last fight 2 weeks ago or whatever. Drew Dober knocked him out. He came out of the gate red hot, almost got Dober out of there, fucking rocked him with a knee and punches, and had Dober really hurt. Dober weathered the storm, and once he turned the tides, McKinney melted. He was being mauled against the cage. He had found himself on the bottom, and Drew Dober just mauled him, and McKinney was out of that fight as soon as the tide turned. Sean Woodson knocked him out. That was a flying knee that knocked him unconscious. That was on the Contender Series. McKinney was using his wrestling, dominating Woodson. Definitely had an athletic advantage and an overall grappling advantage. But on the feet, in round 2, Woodson had a little bit of space once McKinney wasn't all over him, and he just made him pay. Landed the perfect shot. And I'm not saying that wouldn't have knocked anybody else out, but I'm saying Terrance McKinney has a weak chin. He does have a weaker chin than most. And again, if he loses in the future 5 times, at least 3 of them will be by knockout. Probably 5 of them, to be honest. But he has lost once via submission, and that was to Darrick Minner, in what I believe was a legitimate fight. I love saying this shit after he fucking pulled that shit last year. But it was a legitimate fight, and he just triangle choked Terrance McKinney right away within a minute. And it was over and done. But McKinney, very dangerous fighter. Again, very vulnerable. Nazim Sadykhov, he's 8-1 as a pro. He's got 6 wins via knockout, 1 win via submission, 1 win via decision. And the one loss comes by submission. And that was in his debut. This guy, Juan Galarza, rear naked choked him in round 1. Which leaves room for me to believe that Terrance McKinney could fill that hole and get him out of there. I know it was his first fight, but you know what? Ismael Bonfim lost 3 times by submission in round 1, and they were all over 10 years ago. And then in his last fight, that trait of his, that ugly trait, reared its ugly head, and he got tapped out in round 1 by Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm not saying Sadykhov's always going to have this weakness, but it's his one loss, the one loss we can look to, and it's precisely how I think Terrance McKinney can win the fight. But as far as his wins go, Nazim Sadykhov, he's got 6 wins, a good amount of them deeper into the fight, 4 third-round finishes. Well, 4 third-round finishes, although one is Evan Elder, his last win, and that was a doctor stoppage due to a cut, and he was losing that fight, in my opinion. It was really close, and it could have been a draw, but he was, I thought he was losing, and he was, kind of fortunate there. He was dropped, too, in round 1, that's right. Of course, I watched that fight because both these guys are on the card this weekend. But still, Nazim Sadykhov, I liked his composure in that fight, especially after getting dropped, and I thought he was very much in the fight, even if I thought he was losing. Didn't look like he had bad cardio at all, and it looked like in particular he can throw hands deeper into the fight, which is precisely what he's going to need to beat Terrance McKinney. Terrance McKinney, I'm expecting McKinney to go the grappling route, to be honest, but if he's not able to submit Nazim Sadykhov, because Sadykhov, by the way, trains with Sarah Longo, and that means Sarah, and all of them, and Aljo, and whoever the fuck else. And I'm expecting he's had his back taken by Aljamain Sterling a few times. So I'm expecting him to be, decent defending submissions on the ground, even if he's not the best submission artist himself, and finds himself grappling too much at all. Because, mainly he wants to be on the feet, and usually is. But I like what I see from Sadykhov as a striker, even though, again, I thought he was going to lose to Evan Elder. And I do think if he finds himself in rounds 2 or 3 with Terrance McKinney, he can get him out of there. And that's how I'm playing this fight. My pick, with a gun to my head, I'll go with McKinney. But my heart's not totally into the pick. But I will go with McKinney. Really, the bets are McKinney by first round, which I played at plus 240. You can get his first round submission at plus 550, but I just stuck with the flat money line because, I'm afraid Terrance McKinney's just so dangerous with his 5 1-minute or less knockouts that I may as well cover that. But Nazim Sadykhov, I've bet on him rounds 2 and 3. Knockout, plus 600, plus 800. Which aren't great odds for rounds 2 and 3 knockout. But, as far as throwing sprinkles go, I'm comfortable doing this because I'm very sure of the traits of Terrance McKinney. I'm pretty sure I know how most of his wins are going to look and most of his losses are going to look. So this is one that I bet on, and one that I'll play props. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.